Hello, listeners. Welcome to this week's episode of the Treat Your Business podcast. I'm going to say good morning because I'm recording this in the morning. I know lots of you listen on your way to the clinic or on your way into your business. So a very good morning from me to you. Now, this week, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to go a little bit off-piste because I often get questions on Instagram and on Facebook about various things about people's businesses. And a lot of you feel very alone when you're running a clinic, and it is a lonely place to be. I understand that. So I'm going to do a bit of a Q&A on the podcast this week. So I posted on my Instagram, does anybody have any questions that they would love me to answer on the podcast? And I have quite a few to work my way through. What can I give you from this episode? Why should you stay listening in? We've got a question that's come in from Eleanor about team. So if you're a clinic owner with team, you're going to want to listen to this answer. I've got a question from Vicki, which is great, which is she didn't say it in these words, but how do I convince my partner that investing in coaching is what I need to do? Or if your partner or your significant other is possibly the one that's holding you back when it comes to investing in yourself or in your business, how do you overcome that? And then I've also got a question from Ollie, which is, what 3 bits of advice would you give to somebody starting out? So if you are a new clinic owner, if you're thinking about starting your practice, you're going to want to listen to that answer. And then I've got a marketing question as well. So let's dive in. Welcome to the Treat Your Business podcast with Katie Bell. I'm Katie, and this is the place where clinic owners like you learn the strategies, tools, and mindset shifts needed to transform your clinic into a thriving business, one that gives you more time, more money, and more freedom. Born from a passion to challenge the idea that average is normal, we empower clinic owners to create extraordinary businesses, incomes, and lives. Through our world-class coaching programs, we help you step out of overwhelm and into confidence, turning your clinic into a business that fuels your lifestyle, not draining it. So, are you ready? Let's dive in.
I'm delighted to tell you this episode of the Treat Your Business podcast is proudly brought to you by Nucal, the leading practice management software designed to streamline operations and empower every allied health clinic. Their platform seamlessly handles every aspect of your clinic, from scheduling and clinical note-taking to invoicing and reporting. Their innovative solution will help streamline your clinic and free up your valuable time, allowing you to focus on delivering better patient care and growing your business. So if you're tired of juggling multiple systems and wasting precious hours on administrative tasks, then experience the innovation of Nucal and discover how it can improve the efficiency and profitability of your practice. Visit nucal.com today to learn more about how their automated features and user-friendly interface can revolutionize the way you manage your practice. Unlock the full potential of your clinic with Nucal, the practice management software that puts you in control of your time. Now, let's get back to business.
First of all, Eleanor said, what do you do when you have a team member that is not as enthusiastic as you? And my first response was just to take them out, Eleanor. Just take them out. No, I'm joking. Of course I'm joking. But a part of me just wants to say to all of you clinic owners out there who have team members, it's really hard. It's really hard. I'm not going to be on here being all positive Polly and positive Pete, saying that, the team is a great thing. You're the biggest asset, but they're the biggest challenge at the same time. Yeah, we know all of that. I want to be really real with you. It is challenging. Running a team is one of the biggest challenges you're going to have in your business. Managing people is always going to be difficult. And obviously there are highs and there are lows, and there are these peaks and troughs that we have to try and level out. And there's lots of things that you can do as a leader to improve. But this question about having a team member that's not as enthusiastic as you, my honest advice to you, Eleanor, is that you need to get over this. Because I know who Eleanor is, and she's going to take this in the right way. Because, Eleanor, nobody is ever going to be as enthusiastic as you when it comes to running your business. I also happen to know that Eleanor is a yellow personality. Now, if you haven't listened to this podcast for very long, we do colour testing and personality testing when you join Thrive, and that allows us to coach you and lead you in a specific way that you're going to respond best to. And so as a yellow, I'm a fellow yellow. We are always positive. We are enthusiastic. We are like the cheerleaders. We want to drive things forwards. We're full of ideas. We're the typical visionary. And it can be really difficult if you're not met with that same energy back. And so if you have a green personality that might be your practice manager, it doesn't mean that they're wrong or they're worse. That's just how they're wired, how they are. And having too many yellows in your team is not a recipe for progress, let's just say. So being a leader and really understanding how your team are wired is super important, Eleanor. Mindful that if they're not the same colour as you, you're not going to resonate on the same level, the same energy, and that sometimes can feel difficult when it comes to communication. So we just have to accept that everybody behaves in a different way, and it doesn't mean that enthusiasm has to be visually shown. It might be that they are enthusiastic in a different way, and we have to work how best we pull that from them and we take that out of them. But nobody's ever going to be as enthusiastic as you. Nobody's going to care as much as you. Nobody's ever going to work as hard as you. Get that in your head as a clinic owner right now. But what I do know is when you set a vision and when you create a great culture in your company, you do have enthusiastic people who want to do the right thing for the company. They might not always bring the ideas to the table. And that may be because you're not creating the space for it. A lot of clinicians say to me, oh, it really pisses me off because I'm just the one that's having to come up with the ideas all the time. Yeah, that's why you're running your own business. But also, when you've got a clinician that's fully booked, working back to back, seeing patients, they've got no creative space. You're asking them to do something and giving them no time to do it. So a part of me is, you know what, I'm the ideas person in my company. I always have been, I always will be. And yes, other people will come up with things, but that is my zone of genius. That's what I am great at doing. So I have to lean into that more and bring the other people along for the ride in a way that works with them and for them. So if you're then saying to me, yeah, but they're just not enthusiastic at all, then are they the right culture fit? Do they align with your values truly? Are they creating more barriers and more problems than they are solutions? And in which case, do they fit? Do they need to be part of your organisation long term? So I think there's lots to think about here in terms of their personality, their strengths, their wiring, what you're asking of them. Some people in my team are never going to be the ideas people. And I also have a bit of an issue when we open up the forum to get more ideas because they bring ideas to the table. God love them all. That you think, fucking never running my own business because why the fuck are we going to invest in some branded pens to give out? It's not going to make a difference to my bottom line. Nobody gives a shit about a pen, but that might be one of their best ideas. Now, I say that with love because if some of your team members listen to this and their best idea is a pen, then I don't want to dishearten them. But the more that you ask, sometimes the more answers that you get that you're not going to be able to move forwards with because ultimately they're not looking at it, thinking about it from a business perspective like you. Eleanor, I hope that answers your question about what happens if the team member's not as enthusiastic as you. First, get over it. Second, are they the right fit? Do they align with your culture? Third, are you asking them to do something that's not in their zone of genius and therefore you need to get over that and find a different way to bring them through? Yeah, there you go. There's my answer. Okay, let's go to Ollie. Ollie, thank you for sending this over to me on Instagram. Ollie wanted to know, he said, can you give me 3 bits of advice for somebody starting out in their clinic or in their practice? And I would say, Ollie, don't do it. No, I'm joking. Of course I'm joking. But yeah, I've got some really good advice actually for you, Ollie. I'll try and bring it into 3, but I'm inevitably going to over-deliver here and give you loads more. So I wrote some notes. I'm going to find them. Okay. So my first thing is to, Ollie, to know your numbers from day one. So many clinic owners we work with have been in business a little amount of time, a lot amount of time, and do not know their numbers. And there is no judgment there because we're not taught what numbers we need to know. And we don't know how to do it because we're great at being physios and osteopaths and sports therapists, but we're not great at doing the math. And we don't know how to run our business most of the time. We're figuring it out and winging it all the time. It's not until somebody shows you. So it's easy to focus on getting clients through the door, Ollie, but you've got to understand your pricing. You've got to understand your profit margins. You've got to have cash flow. Cash is king. I would say 10 years ago, in fact, no, I won't say it happened because this was me. 10 years ago, I set up my business. I invested heavily from my own money in, what am I trying to say? Refurbishment of the clinic. And then I cash flowed my way to growth. And what I mean there is like, I was seeing loads of clients. It was just me. I was paying myself an amount of money that meant I could eat and pay my bills and my mortgage, but I wasn't like draining the business of all the money. So we were building up cash and I was just cash flowing all the time. Like I was just growing, cash flowing my way to the next level of growth. That was, I like really would not recommend doing that. It takes a lot longer to do that than probably if you just had some form of business loan or investment to get yourself off the ground. I would say let's roll on 10 years from when I did that. I would say that's possibly the worst thing you can do and the slowest approach to getting where you need to be. Because what we're seeing is that margins are being squeezed quite tightly at the moment. We've got a massive national insurance increase coming. We've got a minimum wage increase coming again. And so everybody is finding that the cost of their delivery, what we're charging out to clients, and the cost of their the delivery of that service, now we're getting an even smaller and smaller margin. Therefore, you're not actually ever building up a whole lot of cash in the business, and cash is absolutely king. So I guess this piece of advice is get really clear on your costs, on your pricing. Make sure your pricing is not, oh, I'm new in business, so I'll be as cheap as I possibly can. You've got to make profit from day one. Track every penny. Price your services based on profitability, not just what others charge. Don't wait too long to get financial support, Ollie, whether that's an accountant, a bookkeeper, or a business coach. I had a business coach before I even opened my business. And that, I think, is probably the main reason, apart from my work ethic, that I hit 6 figures in the first year. And within 3 years did 7 figures of sales, which is massive. Don't wait too long. And really, like, it's okay to borrow money to grow your business as long as we have a real clear plan on how we're going to repay that. So that's my first piece of advice. My second piece of advice to everybody is market smarter, not harder. Please don't rely on social media when you're new in business. You have so many other things you need to be spending your time on. And you're going to be starting with zero audience. And to go from a zero audience to like even 1,000 takes a long time. So invest heavily on relationship-based marketing, Ollie, networking with local businesses, building a strong Google presence, getting word of mouth referrals, email marketing, build your email database from day one, patient one. And a simple, effective website will work harder for you than constantly chasing Instagram likes. So really focus on your marketing strategy and what that needs to look like. And just because everybody else is flinging themselves around TikTok doesn't mean that that's what you need to do at your stage of business growth, Ollie. And number 3, I want you to start thinking like a business owner and not just a clinician. Most of us start our business because they love treating patients. We love treating patients. But if we stay stuck in that mindset for too long, you'll basically end up in a job. And this is where I was, in that I was doing 5.5, 6 clinical days a week. I was still a clinician pretending to try and run a business. And then I really needed to set systems in place, create repeatable processes. I needed to hire way ahead of where I needed to be or where I was at the time. And you need to plan for the day that you're not just going to be the sole person that is running and treating in your business. So those are my 3 main bits of advice. Because I'm an over-deliverer, obviously, I'm going to give you some more. Some notes I wrote on my phone, so excuse me for looking down here. Be you, Ollie. Make sure everything you do, your branding, your messaging, your copy, sounds like you and reflects who you are. And with that, I say warts and all. I hope by now, for those of you listening to the podcast, like, you just get me. I'm not trying to be anybody different. I am basically a girl from Stockport who has built 2 really successful businesses. And I am just a bit ahead of where most of you are, but there is no difference. I have a dog. I spent the whole weekend jet washing. Of course I did. Like, I'm a normal person. And the way that we communicate in our copy, our emails, the way that I present, the way that I turn up onto my podcast, the way that I behave in my masterclasses, that never changes. So always be you. Your ideal client matters for all of you. Take the time to get to know your ideal client from the beginning. We see too many businesses trying to be everything to everybody, and therefore they're nothing to nobody. And you try and compete then against everybody else. You need to come into the market in a unique way. Get visible. So do not let your nerves or your ego stop you. This means consistently, not constantly. So that means whatever we're going to do from our marketing strategy needs to be consistent, but it doesn't need to be constant. Don't compare yourself to others. Comparisons are always unfair because we are comparing the worst we know about ourselves to the best we presume about others. And when I was new into business, you'll have read this in my book, I had to just take myself off all social media and stop comparing and looking what everybody else was doing. And still now I have no idea, because I need to just stay in my lane and I need to stay focused. And that I always want you to remember, competition is not always bad. It's actually great. Do not worry if someone else is already doing what you do. Have you seen how many hairdressers are on your high street? Do it your way, attract your ideal clients, and you will succeed. So Ollie, I wish you all the best. I hope all of that advice. You asked for 3. I think I gave you 8 there. But hey, here we are. Okay, another question that came in from Vicki. And now Vicki said, when a partner is skeptical about investing in coaching, how do you overcome that? I think this is Vicki actually asked me to run a whole podcast episode on this. I'm going to put this out there, that if you are listening to this and you have a partner or a significant other that is really nervous about you investing in coaching, or they don't really get it, or they're not really sure, then I want you to get them to send me their questions, because then I'm going to do an episode that's specifically for your partners to listen to. And I will really just work on changing their belief system around coaching and why it is so important. If you are somebody that has a partner who, or possibly even a business manager, who maybe is skeptical about investing in coaching because ultimately they see at the moment you are worried about finances, you are struggling running the clinic by yourself, you're working a shitload of hours, you are extremely stressed, but you just like on this cycle of surviving, and they just see the struggle right now. The biggest barrier that they often have is that the biggest objection we tend to see is that they don't think we can afford it. I don't think you can afford it. Can your business afford it? You're not even bringing home X amount of money, Vicki, I'm giving examples here, or you're working all these hours and you're only bringing home this amount of money. So then if you go and give a coach 500 quid a month, like, how are we going to make that return on investment? Because they're worried about your lifestyle. They're worried about what if it doesn't work. So when they say we just can't afford it or the money doesn't stack up, no shit, Sherlock. If we could afford it, we probably wouldn't need the coaching, honey. You can see how the conversation's going. My household. In fact, I actually don't tell my husband. And it's not because he is not in full support. He is a green. I'm a yellow. Okay. I barely think about things. I just make decisions and move forwards. My husband thinks and his maths brain is like Carol Vorderman on Heat, fucking just able to really think about all of those different things. But he often will come up with the objection or the other thing that actually goes into my brain and then can percolate and make me then not want to do it. Or most of the time, I haven't even listened. And so I just move forwards. But here's the thing, everybody, right? I'm going off on a tangent here. You are in control of you. I make my own money in life. I can stand on my own 2 feet financially. Something was to happen, let's say yesterday, because we don't want to tempt fate, but I would be okay because I have invested in myself. I have valued my own worth enough, and I didn't know coaching was going to work for me. Of course I didn't. I've never had it before. But the only thing I can control is how I show up and whether or not I put the work in. Coaching only doesn't work if you think that the coach is going to do it all for you. Like, they're not. Okay, then you just need a consultant who will implement but not really get it, and you'll be no further forwards in your business. However, or your coach is completely shit and telling you the wrong things. But great coaching means we fast track the right strategies. You actually avoid costly mistakes. We do things in your business that in the first month make you more money back than the £500 that you have to invest, or whatever it is, whatever level you're coming in at into coaching at. The level is relevant to the amount of revenue that you are making right now, but it's about moving you from where you are to where you want to be. So the response often is, I get that we can't afford it, because on paper we can't, and I don't want to waste any money either. But the reality is, not investing in support is costing us even more. Because right now, I am having to figure all this out through trial and error. I'm making expensive marketing mistakes. I'm putting a lot of time into things that aren't actually profitable. I haven't got a fucking clue about my numbers. I am investing in the wrong accountant. I'm not getting the service that I'm paying for. I've got team members that are costing me money, but I don't know how to fix it. If I did, I would have already fixed it. So coaching is about fast tracking the right strategies and avoiding these costly mistakes. I was this person. I invested in coaching. I've never asked for permission because I am me and I'm in control of what I spend my money on and how I show up. But within months, I was making better financial decisions. I'd got increased profits. I'd reduced my stress levels. I was keeping my eye on the bigger picture. I was able to pull myself out of overwhelm quicker. I was able to step up as a leader and make better hiring decisions and firing decisions. The return is far greater than the investment. Okay, objection number 2 we often hear is, why can't you just figure it out for yourself? Here is your response. I absolutely could, but it would take me years and lots of unnecessary stress. And I've been doing this now for X amount of years. And yes, I may have grown a little bit, or I may have moved forward a little bit, but I don't want to still be here in 5 years' time. So if you wanted to get fit, you could go to the gym and try things on your own. Or you could hire a trainer who knows exactly how to get you faster results. A coach gives you access to proven strategies, accountability. So you're not time wasting, going around in circles, figuring it out for yourself, spending on things that you shouldn't be spending on. Because if you knew how to fix it, you wouldn't be in the situation that you're in now. Even like top athletes, Michael Jordan, Usain Bolt, Paula Ratcliffe. I am so old-fashioned, aren't I? Bless Paula. Did you see that she's run another marathon again? What a legend. But even top athletes have coaches because, hey, they don't know how, they can't see their own blind spots. If coaching is suitable for the top performers in the world, why do we think we can figure this out quicker by ourselves? Objection number 3, you already know how to run a clinic, so why do you need help? My response is, running a clinic isn't just about treating people. Yeah, I'm a great physio, I'm a great osteopath, I'm a great sports therapist, but I've got to now manage team, I've got to handle my finances, I've got to do all the marketing, I've got to grow sustainably, we've got reduced margins, I don't know how to change that. There's a huge difference between being a great clinician and a great business owner, and a coach helps you become both. Simple changes that you will make a massive difference in your cash flow and how your team perform, and therefore your bottom line. Objection number 4 is often, how do you know it's going to work? What if it doesn't work? And my response always is, yeah, but what if it does? What if I just do the things that these people are teaching me to do that are already helping hundreds of clinic owners do the same thing, because otherwise they wouldn't have a business. And the person teaching us has already been in our shoes and got to the next level and beyond. The only variable in that is me. The only variable is if I show up and do the work. Because you're not just buying advice, right? You're buying mentorship from someone who's been where you are. The most successful clinic owners do not do this alone. Plus, if you follow through and actually take the action that we tell you to take, you'll see results, and that's on you. So, would you rather spend another year struggling? Would you rather spend another year of me working a million hours for real no return? Would you rather have sleepless nights worrying about all these things because it's not you worrying about them, it's me worrying about them in the middle of the night? Or if I invest now, I will speed up our success. Because that's ultimately why you're doing it. You're doing it to create a better life for you and your other half. Objection number 5 might be, I don't want you working even more hours on this. And your response is, this is exactly why I need to be coached. Because I've got to learn how to step back. I've got to learn how to have a business that works for me without being tied to it 24/7. It isn't about adding more work in. Yeah, don't get me wrong. The first year that people are on program with us, oh, wow, it's like a roller coaster. Guys, and I'm not going to wrap that up as anything different because it takes what it takes. And this is why people have been working with us for 2, 3, 4. Have we been around 5 years? 5 years now, even. We can't get rid of some people because I love them and they're never going anywhere. In fact, somebody voice noted me this week to say, just to let you know, because she's on our top level program, our Ascend program, like, what happens after this? I think you're probably just going to have to get a job with Thrive because I ain't leaving. But that's because the value of what they see is far greater than the money it costs them. It's about working smarter. Coaching will help you create a business that gives you more freedom, not less. And yes, in the first few months, it's going to feel intense because there's going to be a lot of shit we've got to sort. But we do it strategically. We do it with a plan. We support you from a mindset point of view. And the mindset work that we do on program absolutely transforms your relationships, the way you show up in your life, the way that you behave, what you tolerate. And it all just leads to you having an even better life. So, Vicki, I hope maybe some of those objections that I've worked through will help you in your situation, and for anybody else listening to those, I hope that helps as well. I'm going to just go with one more because I realise that I'm used way over time here and you're real busy and you've got things to do. But I think it's important to just answer this marketing question. Marketing question came in from Ollie and it said, I feel like I'm constantly posting on social media, but it's not bringing in new clients. What should I be doing instead? So I would say, here's the thing, Ollie. Let's take time for 1 whole month that you spend posting on social media. Just don't do it. Just stop. And use that time and invest in relationship marketing. Go out to local businesses, speak to your clients, give them referral cards, do a campaign, do a competition, run a workshop, get out there at a local event and offer people something to come into the clinic. Do anything else but being on social media. Just stop it for a month, track what works, and then, hey, if you really want to go back to posting on social media, do it once or twice a week. Do testimonial-based success stories, showcasing why you are unique and what you do differently and why people would want to work with you. And other than that, don't worry about it. There we go. I answered that in 1 minute and 12 seconds. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you have a partner that is struggling to understand about coaching and might be the barrier to you moving forwards, send their questions in to our email address, hello@thrive-businesscoaching.com, and I will do a whole episode dedicated for them. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you next week.